What's going on, y'all? It's your man C. Dot the Critic here. And we coming to you with a new video, new episode. I wouldn't even say it's about True Detective. It's not even it's not even a special episode that we reviewing here. I feel like we got the whole premise, yo. Like for real. Like the watchers know how I give it up. I'm kind of a prophet when it comes to guessing shows, guessing movies. And it's not really even just a review like how normal people do. A lot of people do the reviews, episode by episode, breaking it down. At the end of the day, flat out, I think I got the main meat and potatoes and premise of the show. Like if you don't know True Detective, it comes on HBO. It's a great show. It was a great first season. I feel like with Matt McConaughey and you know Woody Harrelson. Like I feel like they had a great first season. The second season was kind of, depending on how you look at it. For TV heads, like it was just so. You know, third season's back with a vengeance with my man Remy from House of Cards. He's the main character. It's a lot going on in this show, but for True Detective fans, you guys already know the whole premise. What's going on? It's a girl and a boy, brother and sister. They go off on their bikes in the first episode, just to give you some background. And the boy is found dead while the girl is missing. So at the end of the day, you know, like True Detective style, they have to go find out what happened to the girl, what happened to the boy, just sum everything up. And, it's a lot of moving parts here, right? I'm not here to break down the details to you of the show. True Detective fans, if you watch, you're here for the real, you know. You're here for what happened. What happened? That's what you're here for, you know. At the end of the day, what I can tell you that I feel like I guessed the whole thing. I feel like I know the whole thing. In detective style and Sherlock Holmes style, I guessed it all. Like I usually do. See Dr. Critic for a reason. Which I need to be calling myself See Dr. Prophet because I feel like I'm guessing all of this. So to cut to the chase, it was a scene, and I believe the episode 4. I believe that was it, right? Well, scratch that. Let's just go with episode 5. That's where we had a lot of reveal when it comes to Julie. Uh, we see a lot of things that happen. We see her call up. We see, you know, a lot of things that happen to her, right? To cut to the chase, I feel like that the pink rooms, when it comes to the pink rooms, when it comes to everything she went through, the things that she said on that recording, and we're just gonna assume that is Julie. We're gonna assume that. Everything I feel like that True Detective did in this that's gonna happen is straight out the Netflix special, the basically the Netflix special, Abducted in Plain Sight. Now, how many people saw that, right? That was a very viral thing when it comes to social media, Twitter, Instagram. It's a very viral show, series, well, actually, movie. And it's a movie about basically that takes place, I believe, in the 70s. And for everyone who knows about that, knows about what took place, the man that coerced the whole family out of going, basically, to kidnap their daughter, molest her, and did a lot of shit things with her and basically messed with her mind, right? So at the end of the day, if you watch this last episode of True Detective, all those things seem to take place. Like if you listen to Julie on that call, Julie is basically Jan from Abducted in Plain Sight. These stories basically run parallel. The documentary, it's almost like, which I know they probably came out at different times, but it's almost like True Detective took right from that. I don't get how people don't see this. Like when it comes to the pink rooms, when it comes to basically like the games they play, the little Dungeons and Dragons type games, like someone basically coerced Julie and brainwashed her to believe these things that she said on that tape. I mean, that's pretty obvious to me, but I mean, I guess people don't see that. They're too analytical. I've seen a lot of videos just to make sure no one had this idea I had, just to make sure no one had this before I did this. But it's plain as day to me. It's plain as day. And right when we get into who feel like who's doing it, it could be a number of moving parts, right? It could be a number of them. I feel like that Lucy, the mom, is just like the mom in the Abducted in Plain Sight. She was involved in a lot of mistakes, like from their daughter, like the kidnapping. She was involved in a lot. I feel like Lucy is involved in a lot on the low as well when it comes to Julie and her kidnapping. Like it's just she didn't brainwash her, obviously. She didn't do the brainwashing, but she was involved. And I feel like let me just cut straight to the point that everyone wants to know. I feel like, and it could be a number of moving parts, but I feel like the main person involved that coerced Julie, that made Will, all of them, that was spending time with them, was the priest. That's the one no one was telling about. When you look back at that, I believe it was episode 4. The priest was talking about all the people that they brought in, all the people that they helped. And I'm not trying to make the typical priest thing where it's like with little kids but come on, it's obvious. It's clear as day what's going on there. The LVS faith with pastor and the True Detective, it goes together. I feel like the pastor lied to her and told her, the same thing that happened with old boy and Abducted in Plain Sight. He told her, that's not your dad. That's not this. You're really a princess. Just like how he told Jan in Abducted in Plain Sight, that's not your dad. You're really an alien. You're really this, really that, just so they can have that disconnect from their dad. I feel like the priest did the same thing with Julie. That's not your real dad. You're a princess. You're the queen of this. You're the princess of this, of the pink rooms. The pastor just lied to her and told her dad wasn't her real dad and made up stories like basically like in those magic world Dungeons and Dragons games that her and Will played. So remember, you have to understand that she's young. They lied and said that wasn't her real dad, and parents, they needed to basically stay shut, not tell them, or else her brother, wouldn't come back to life. That's why in the tape she's saying, oh, Will's not awake yet? Will's not this, that, and the third yet? Like she's up there wondering, like, well, I did my part. Just like how Jan did her part when it came to Abducted in Plain Sight. She was 16, 17. This is real life. She was 16 and 17 thinking it was still that. That was still aliens and this, that, and the third. This can happen. This has happened. This is true. So what makes us think that Julie in this situation doesn't believe the same thing at whatever age she was in the timeline of the 90s that took place in True Detective? So I feel like if it's not the priest, like I feel like the priest is obviously the main. I feel like that's umro numo, the number one uno, just the number one guy. I feel like no one's talking about the priest. That's the main guy. And guess what? I feel like the chief and all the other guys dealing with it, I feel like they cover that up. I feel like they're all working together. At the end of the day, I don't know all moving parts here. All I'm saying is that when it comes to Abducted in Plain Sight and to True Detective Season 3, those stories all run parallel. They're all the same. I think that's what they're showing us. The pink rooms is the same thing. The castle, everything is the same when it comes to Abducted in Plain Sight. It's basically just switching stories. One's dealing with aliens, one's dealing with princess and mythological and fantasy stuff with kings and queens and princesses and stuff. That's the only difference. Everything else is the same. The priest messed with Julie's mind and told her these lies to get away from her parents, to get away from the dad. And guess what else about that? I feel the neighbor Margaret was big in the church. I feel like that's going to be revealed later on. She was big in the church. She was big with the priest. She was with the priest, I feel like. And that's what Lucy feels guilty for. Because Margaret is right there with Lucy. She's right there, I feel like, feeding her lines. I feel like even though if Lucy doesn't know everything, she knows much more than she's putting on. And Margaret's right there telling her what's going on. Margaret knows it all. She was big in the church. We're going to find out she is big with the priest. Might be the priest's left-hand woman. So, I think the mom of Julie, like Lucy actually let the and this is out there. This is one of these far left theories, but when it comes to the hole in the wall that's in the rooms, who knows if Lucy actually let the priest stay in the uncle's room just a couple times when he wasn't there. And throw people off, we think and assume it's the uncle, but really the priest wanted to stay close to Julie, see what's going on, see what's happening. Like that could be a mind F in its own. So we gotta just stay aware here. Like, no matter what you think, right now the obvious answer is that the Netflix movie Abducted in Plain Sight seems to be the exact same premise as the True Detective Season 3 when it comes to Julie. Julie's up there saying, why isn't Will awake yet? Why didn't these things happen yet? She's confused. She's really confused. This is not no fake Julie here. She's confused. Because she knows she was told at a young age, if these things happened, this would happen. Oh, Will's not really dead. He's asleep. But if you don't say anything, and you do these things that I told you to do, he'll be awake, he'll be alive, he'll be thriving. The same way in Abducted in Plain Sight, she told him, if you do these things, if you don't tell anybody, oh, this will happen. And she believed that till about 16, 17. So, I mean, no one's talking about this yet. No one's talking about these theories. No one's talking about this. But if you watch Abducted in Plain Sight and you're watching True Detective Season 3 right now, I don't know how you can't think this. I don't know how you can't think that this is what's going on. And I have a whole nother video in theory that I'm going to come out with later on. Actually, pretty soon. That still deals in the same vein as what I'm talking about. also reveals another main key piece in True Detective Season 3. This is not a review about a specific episode. I've seen a lot of these reviews. I've seen a lot of these things. I feel like none of them are on point. I feel like everybody's just guessing, and these are guesses. Everybody's guessing, but I feel like none of them are even close. This is what's going on. This is the closest thing that I feel like no one is guessing. No one is saying. And it's right here in your face. So, watchers, it's up to you, what you feel. Let's see that the critic, man, like, I feel, watch when this plays out. Pink rooms, princess, castle, it's fantasy. The same way in Abducted in Plain Sight with the aliens. Fantasy. That's what these predators do, especially with younger kids. Come on. Open your eyes, watchers. At the end of the day, see that the critic here. Watchers keep watching.